Alien princess shyly admits, I googled how humans mate. Is it really like that? The sand ripped across my face, tasting like iron and regret. My ancient scout-class freighter, the rusty comet, had chosen the precise worst moment to finally give up the ghost, ejecting me onto this magnetic desert hellscape, a place rumored to fry biosigns and swallow ships whole. Figures. Just my damn luck. I coughed, spitting grit, and pushed myself up, ignoring the screaming protest of a cracked rib. Around me, the dunes shimmered under a sky the color of bruised plums, crisscrossed by faint pulsing lines, the magnetic field everyone warned about. Great. Isolated, shipwrecked, and probably about to become a metal snack for whatever calls this godforsaken sand home. I patted my sidearm, a relic itself but functional, small comfort against whatever came next. A low thrum vibrated through the ground, not the ship dying, but something else. Closer, bigger. I scrambled towards a cluster of jagged blackened rocks, the only cover around, my boot soles crunching on crystalline dust. The thrum intensified, shaking the ground, and then a shape rose from the horizon line, not a dune, but something massive, dark, and humming with energy. It wasn't a ship, it was organic, like a living, breathing mountain moving across the sand. Panic flared, hot and sharp. I'd heard whispers about the entities that inhabited these magnetic planes, things tied to the planet's core, protectors of something ancient. They weren't friendly, not to trespassers like me. I flattened myself against the rocks, trying to regulate my breathing, praying the magnetic distortion from my crash was enough to scramble their sensors or whatever the hell they used. The humming grew louder, a deep resonant song that vibrated not just the air, but my very bones. My ribs screamed louder. The shape resolved itself, not a mountain but a structure, walking on dozens of thick jointed limbs, its surface covered in shifting plates that pulsed with soft internal light. Atop it, perched like a predator, was a figure, tall, slender, but radiating sheer, unadulterated presence. And it was looking right at my rocks. My blood ran cold. So much for scrambling sensors. Or luck. Fuck my life. The figure detached itself from the walking structure with unnerving grace, gliding down a shimmering energy ramp that solidified beneath its feet. It moved with deliberate slowness, each step measured, confident. As it drew closer, details resolved. Not just a figure, but female, alien, and stunning, in a terrifying primal way. Her skin was the color of polished obsidian, adorned with intricate, glowing tattoos that pulsed in time with the ground's thrum. Her hair, if you could call it that, was a cascade of bioluminescent tendrils that flowed down her back, shifting color from violet to gold. Her eyes were large, multifaceted, and burned with an intense, intelligent light. She wore armor that seemed to grow from her skin, dark and segmented, highlighting a form that was both lean and powerfully built, and from her throat a low, resonant hum, like a constant internal song. This was no common scavenger. This was one of the elite, the ones the whispers spoke of, a ruler of this desolate, dangerous place. My hand tightened on my sidearm, useless as a spitball against something like her, I was sure. She stopped a dozen feet away, her eyes scanning the rocks, then settling on me. Her gaze was like a physical force, stripping away my camouflage, my defiance, leaving me feeling exposed and small. She didn't speak immediately, she simply observed, her humming throat nodes vibrating faster. It felt like an interrogation without a single word. Finally, she extended a hand, palm open, towards me. Not a gesture of peace. It felt like a demand, a silent order to surrender. My smart-ass mouth, unfortunately, had a mind of its own. Look, lady, I croaked, my voice dry. I don't want any trouble. Ship went down, just passing through, or trying to, anyway. Her head tilted slightly, the movement unnervingly serpentine. The humming from her throat changed pitch, becoming lower, almost a growl. Then she spoke. Her voice was deep, resonant, a harmonic echo of the ground's thrum, but overlaid with a tone of utter authority. Trespasser, desecrator. You bleed upon the sacred sand. Not exactly hello. Desecrator? Bleeding? Look, it's just done. Grease from the ship. And my rib. And maybe a little sweat. I tried a weak smile. It didn't work. Her eyes narrowed, the light within them intensifying. Silence. Your presence is an affront. You will come. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a command that felt like a physical weight pressing down on me, against my better judgment, against every survival instinct screaming at me. I didn't immediately comply. I stayed crouched, hand still on my sidearm. Yeah, about that. Not really big on forced. Whatever this is, got places to be. Eventually, if I can get off this rock, her humming rose, becoming sharper, edged with something that sounded like impatience, or perhaps challenge. She took another step closer, her gaze never leaving mine. The magnetic field around us seemed to pulse in response to her presence, the air crackling faintly, her glowing tattoos flared, outlining complex patterns that seemed to shift and writhe beneath her skin. You defy the first daughter? Here? In the heart of the claimed lands? Her voice was low, dangerous. First daughter. Great. Royalty. My luck was truly hitting rock bottom tonight. Didn't catch the title. Riley. Just Riley. And yeah, look, no offense, your luminance, but this whole captured by the glowy queen of nowhere wasn't on my itinerary. I knew I was being an idiot, absolute grade A moron, but fear often manifested as sarcasm with me. Better than curling up into a ball and crying, which was a strong temptation right now. Her head tilted again, that strange predatory angle. Her multifaceted eyes seemed to study my face, my posture, my defiant stance. Sarcasm, she hummed, the word a query, not a recognition. A form of weakness? She took another step, closing the distance. Her scent hit me then, a complex mix of ozone, something like burnt sugar, and a deep, musky pheromone that prickled at my skin. It was intoxicating and alarming all at once. Nah, lady. More like a defense mechanism. Keeps the panic at bay. She didn't respond, her humming throat nodes vibrating in a new pattern. It sounded thoughtful, curious, even. A defense, she echoed, her voice softer but still commanding. Fascinating. The whispers spoke of human adaptability, but not of this verbal parrying. Whispers. They had whispers about humans. Yeah, well, we've got a lot of coping strategies, most of them unhealthy. I slowly, carefully removed my hand from my sidearm and held them up, empty. Resistance wasn't going to work here. Not against this. All right, you win. I'm captured. Lead the way. Just try not to sacrifice me to the sandworms, okay? Not a big fan of being eaten. A faint, almost imperceptible sound escaped her. Maybe a chuckle, though it sounded more like grinding stones. There are no sandworms that could survive here. The magnetic flows would shred them. A painful end, even for such primitive creatures. She gestured towards the ramp descending from her walking structure, which was now fully stopped, towering over the rocks. You will ascend. Your defiance is noted, human, and intriguing. Intriguing? That could be good, or very, very bad. Given my luck, probably the latter, but at least I wasn't immediately vaporized. Small mercies. I pushed myself fully upright, wincing. My rib was definitely cracked. I took a deep breath of the charged, dusty air and started walking towards the ramp, towards the glowing, humming first daughter, towards whatever ritualistic hell awaited me inside her mobile palace. Fuck. Ascending the ramp felt like stepping into a different dimension. The air inside the massive organic structure was cool and humid, thick with the same musky scent as the first daughter. The interior walls pulsed with soft, shifting light, creating an unsettling, disorienting glow. Everything felt alive, the walls breathing, the floor beneath my feet soft and yielding. The first daughter walked ahead of me, her movements fluid and silent. I followed, my boots making annoyingly loud scuffing sounds on the strange floor. We moved through corridors that seemed to rearrange themselves slightly as we passed, guided by subtle shifts in the light patterns. My sense of direction was completely shot within minutes. Eventually, we reached a large circular chamber. The center was dominated by a raised platform made of what looked like woven light, humming with power. Around the edges of the chamber stood other figures, also tall and dark-skinned, their glowing tattoos more subtle than the first daughter's, their humming nodes vibrating at a lower frequency. Elders, I guessed. The ones who pulled the strings. They turned their multifaceted eyes towards me as I entered, their collective gaze feeling colder, less curious than the first daughter's, more judgmental. She stopped at the edge of the central platform and turned to face me. You stand before the Council of Vibrance, she announced, her voice echoing slightly in the chamber. Elders of the claimed lands. They will assess your trespass and determine your fate. An older, larger figure detached itself from the group of elders. Its tattoos were thicker, darker, covering its head and neck in intricate patterns. Its humming was deep, resonant, carrying an air of ancient authority. The human. Riley, it calls itself, the elder rumbled, its voice like grinding rock. A scavenger, a blight upon the stars. Hey, I said, my voice may be a little too loud. My ship was a classic, and I prefer unlucky entrepreneur. The elders' humming collectively deepened, a sound that felt disapproving. The first daughter's humming throat nodes vibrated faster again, a sign I was starting to recognize as a reaction to my idiocy. Silence, human, the first daughter commanded, though there was a flicker in her multifaceted eyes I couldn't quite read. Your insolence is irrelevant here. The lead elder turned its gaze back to me, its eyes unblinking. You landed near the Nexus Spire, a place of power. You sought to steal? Steal? What the hell is a Nexus Spire? I was just trying to not die in the desert. Didn't even know where I was until my ship went boom. The elder leaned forward slightly, its humming intensifying. Your biosign was unstable near the spire. It pulsed with unfamiliar energy. You attempted to integrate? Integrate? What the hell were they talking about? Look, I don't know what your spire does, but if it's anything like my ship's busted hyperdrive, it probably just makes weird noises and occasionally tries to kill you. The lead elder's humming shifted again, becoming sharp, accusatory. Ignorance is no defense, Riley human. Your energy signature resonated strangely. It triggered a resonance within the spire's field, a weak one but present. Resonated? Triggered a resonance? What the hell was going on? Look, I'm just a guy, a mostly harmless, slightly broke guy whose ship blew up. I don't resonate with anything except maybe bad luck. The first daughter stepped forward, placing a hand on the lead elder's arm. Her tattoos glowed brighter at her touch. Father, she said, her voice firm. His resonance is weak, yes, but unique. The spire reacted. It has not reacted to our own probes in cycles. Muya, father. So she was literally royalty. And her dad was not a fan. Great. A foreign resonance is a contamination, Zarel, the elder rumbled, shaking off her hand gently. It must be purged. Ritualistically. Purged? Ritualistically? That didn't sound good. Whoa, purged sounds like a fancy word for executed. Maybe we can skip the purging part? How about you find me? Or I could, sign a waiver saying I won't resonate with your spire again. Zarel's humming nodes vibrated rapidly. She turned her multifaceted eyes to me, a flicker of something I couldn't interpret crossing her gaze. Purging is necessary, the lead elder stated, finality in its tone. However, Zarel interjected, her voice cutting through her father's. The resonance is weak. It may not be a contamination to be purged, but a catalyst to be understood. The elders stirred, their humming rising in protest. Understand a foreign blight? One of them buzzed. Madness. Zarel stood taller, her bioluminescent tendrils flowing around her like a cloak. The rituals are ancient, father, but the spire is older. Its needs may have changed. A foreign resonance could unlock a new path. She turned to me, her gaze intense. The spire reacted to him. He is the key to understanding its intent. The lead elder considered this, its deep humming slowing. Understanding, or containment. How do we test its intent, daughter? Zarel looked at me, a slow, predatory smile spreading across her face, revealing rows of small, sharp teeth. My gut clenched. This was it. The test. The ritual. We test it through resonance, father. Through connection. The human, Riley, will undergo the trial of binding. He will attempt to resonate with the spire directly. If he fails, the spire's judgment will be swift. If he succeeds, he will be claimed, by the claimed lands, and by the one who brought him here. She stepped forward and placed her hand, cool and firm, on my chest. He will be bound to me. Bound to her. The words hung in the humid air of the chamber, heavy with implications I didn't fully grasp but instinctively recoiled from. Her hand on my chest felt like a brand, already marking me. Her multifaceted eyes bored into mine, and I saw not just command, but a raw, untamed challenge. Bound, as in, permanently. Look, I'm more of a free agent kind of guy. Got commitment issues. My voice wavered slightly, despite my best efforts. The elders' humming rose in a wave of disapproval, their body language stiffening. Zarel ignored them, her focus solely on me. Binding is the ultimate claim, human. It is strength, not weakness. You will be tested, you will resonate, or you will be undone. Undone sounds messy. What does this trial of binding actually involve? Because if it's just pressing buttons on your giant glowing obelisk, I'm probably your guy. Anything else? Maybe less so. She laughed, a low musical sound that vibrated in my bones. Buttons? No, Riley human. The spire resonates with life force, with intent. The trial of binding is a trial of spirit, of will, and of body. Her hand lingered on my chest, her fingers tracing the line of my collarbone through my battered flight suit. A shiver ran down my spine, not entirely from fear. Body? What does my body have to do with your glowing magic antenna? She leaned closer, her musky scent intensifying, making my head spin. Her humming grew louder, drawing my attention, holding it captive. The body is the vessel of resonance, human, it must be aligned, open, submitted. The word submitted felt like a physical blow. My smartass facade was cracking under the sheer weight of her intensity, her alienness, her power. Submitted? Look, if this is going where I think it's going, I should probably tell you, I'm really not prepared for whatever your cultural definition of submission involves. Her smile returned, sharper this time. Your fear is loud, human, but your core vibrates with resistance. It is a fascinating conflict. She removed her hand from my chest, but the phantom heat remained. The trial will begin at the next harmonic convergence. Until then, you will be prepared. Prepared. That sounded ominous. The lead elder stepped forward. He must be purified, Zyrel, and tested for contaminants beyond the spire's influence. Purified? Contaminants? My mind immediately went to diseases, maybe something I'd picked up in a sketchy spaceport cantina. Contaminants? Like space flu? I got my shots, mostly. The elder's eyes narrowed. Not biological, human. Resonance contaminants. Disruptive energies. Psychic interference. Psychic interference? I don't do psychic stuff. My brain barely handles basic math. Zarel stepped between me and her father. I will oversee his preparation, father. His resonance is linked to mine, however weakly now. His vulnerabilities are my responsibility. Responsibility? That was a new word from her. It didn't sound like a word the elders used much. They seemed more focused on power and ritualistic purging. Very well, daughter, the lead elder rumbled, though his eyes remained suspicious. But the convergence is soon. Ensure he is aligned, or his failure will reflect upon you. He turned and gestured to the other elders who dispersed, their collective humming fading as they left the chamber. Zarel watched them go, a complex expression on her face. Then she turned to me, her eyes softening just a fraction. Come, Riley human. The preparation begins. She led me from the chamber, not back towards the ramp, but deeper into the organic structure. We moved through more pulsing corridors until we reached a smaller, more intimate space. It was shaped like a cocoon, the walls pulsing with a gentle golden light. In the center was a shallow pool of shimmering liquid. This is a cleansing chamber, Zarel said, gesturing to the pool. The liquid will harmonize your energy, remove the discordant vibrations of your journey. My journey had been discordant, all right, full of crappy warp jumps and even crappier fuel. Harmonize my energy? You mean like a really weird bath? She tilted her head again, that curious gesture. A bath? A cleansing ritual? Yes. It will prepare your vessel for the spire's touch. Vessel. Right. Everything was about my body being a vessel for some glowing rock. Okay, fine. A cleansing ritual bath. Do I have to take off my everything? I gestured vaguely at my ruined flight suit. A faint flush of color appeared beneath her obsidian skin, a subtle darkening of her tattoos around her face. Your clothing, it is a barrier. It must be removed. She looked away for a moment towards the pool. The humming from her throat nodes changed pitch again. Faster, higher. This time it sounded distinctly flustered. Or maybe aroused? Hard to tell with aliens, especially glowing ones. I stripped slowly, feeling awkward under her gaze, even though she seemed to be trying not to stare. My clothes were a mess anyway, ripped and stained. As I peeled off the last layer, revealing my decidedly non-glowing, non-tattooed, slightly bruised human body, her humming became more pronounced. She finally looked back at me, her multifaceted eyes scanning my form with intense scrutiny. She stepped closer to the pool, gesturing for me to enter. The liquid shimmered with an internal light, giving off a faint warmth and a subtle, sweet scent. Submerge yourself, Riley human. Let the vibrations embrace you. I eyed the pool warily. Are there like things in there? Or is this just glowing water? It is a living medium, she explained. It responds to life force. It will read your internal state. Great, a psychic bath. Okay, living bath. Got it. I stepped in, the liquid warm and surprisingly viscous. It clung to my skin, sending strange, tingling sensations through me. The light within the liquid pulsed, matching the beat of my own heart. I sank down until only my head was above the surface, the liquid vibrating against me. Zarel knelt beside the pool, her reflection shimmering in the glowing water. She reached out, her fingers hovering just above the surface of the liquid near my head. Her humming intensified, and I felt a gentle pressure inside my skull, like someone was softly probing my thoughts. It wasn't unpleasant, just intrusive. Her eyes were closed, her face serene, focused. Your mind, it is a jumble, she hummed, a slight frown on her face. Full of anxieties, defiance, and strange images. Yeah, that's my brain, been through a lot. The humming continued, and I felt the probing deepen. It felt like she was sifting through my memories, my experiences. She paused, her forehead furrowing. What is Google? She asked, her voice soft, filled with genuine confusion. The question was so out of the blue, so utterly disconnected from the moment that I almost laughed. Google? It's a search engine on the old human internet. You use it to find information. Anything you want to know? Her eyes opened, looking startled. Anything? Information on anything? Pretty much. Recipes, cat videos, how to fix a leaky faucet, historical facts, scientific theories, how to reproduce? She asked, her voice barely a whisper, the flush beneath her skin deepening dramatically. My mind screeched to a halt. She'd been sifting through my memories, my cultural knowledge, and she'd found that, yeah, how humans made. You can find that too, probably with pictures and diagrams. Her humming nodes vibrated wildly now, a high, flustered sound. She pulled her hand back from the water as if burned. She looked away completely, her bioluminescent tendrils flaring and dimming like confused signal lights. I see. The spire requires deep alignment, understanding of self and others. Her voice was strained. This was definitely one of those awkward sexual misunderstanding moments the profile mentioned. Though it wasn't really a misunderstanding. She just found something extremely sensitive while rummaging through my brain. Look, I said, trying to salvage the situation, that's just general information. Not like personal experience I was thinking about. Mostly, it wasn't entirely true. Being naked in a glowing bath with a stunning alien princess was definitely sparking some thoughts. Her blush slowly subsided, but her humming remained agitated. She finally looked back at me, her gaze no longer intense and probing, but hesitant, almost shy. You do not mind that I saw that? In your mind? Mind? It's a little weird, yeah. Not really how I pictured sharing personal details. But hey, cultural exchange, right? Learn something new every day. I managed a weak smile. Her own small smile was hesitant, unsure. It made her look surprisingly young, less like a terrifying first daughter and more like, well, like someone who had just Googled something embarrassing. Cultural exchange, she repeated, the words unfamiliar but intriguing to her. Yes, this, Google, it is a vast repository of human culture, vast, and frequently disturbing. But yeah, it's got everything. She remained silent for a moment, her eyes studying me, a new kind of curiosity in them. It wasn't just about my resonance now. It felt personal. The trial of binding requires a deep alignment of life force, she finally said, her voice regaining some of its earlier command, but softer now. The spire must recognize you, as part of this place, as part of me. She knelt fully beside the pool, bringing her face closer to mine. Her musky scent filled my senses. The cleansing prepares your vessel. But true binding, it requires physical connection, shared energy, a merging. My mind went back to the how humans mate search results she'd stumbled upon. Merging, I repeated, my voice dry. Is that another word I should be worried about? She didn't answer directly. Instead, she reached out, her obsidian fingers brushing against my wet cheek. Her touch sent a jolt through me. Her tattoos pulse softly under her skin. The spire resonates with the core vibration of being, she murmured, her eyes holding mine, with the heat of life. The intensity of will. It is mirrored in the mating rituals of many species, a peak energy state. My heart hammered against my ribs. The bathwater seemed to heat up around me. So, you're saying the trial of binding is basically sex? She blinked, her multifaceted eyes widening slightly. Sex. That is the term in your Google data? Yeah, that's the term. Her humming nodes vibrated, a low, sustained tone. She leaned closer still, her face only inches from mine, her breath smelling faintly of ozone and something sweet brushed my lips. Then yes, Riley human. To resonate fully with the spire, the trial of binding requires sex. The air in the cleansing chamber crackled with unspoken tension. Her confession, delivered with such alien directness after inadvertently browsing my search history, was both shocking and intensely arousing. Sex required. For a sacred alien ritual. And with the stunning, commanding, slightly flustered first daughter. My bruised body suddenly felt very much alive, every nerve ending firing. Okay, I said, my voice a little hoarse. Just checking we were on the same page. So this isn't just part of the trial. It is the trial? She nodded slowly, her eyes locked on mine. The peak resonance is achieved through the most intense expression of life force. The merging of two beings. Our ancestors discovered this long ago. The spire answers the call of unified energy. Unified energy. Right, it was a hell of a euphemism. Or maybe, to her, it was just a technical description of what happens. And you said I'd be claimed by you. If I succeeded, if you resonate successfully, she confirmed, her voice low, you will be bound to me, as mine. By the spire's power and the traditions of my people, mine, claimed. It sounded possessive, dangerous, and strangely thrilling. My sarcasm failed me for a moment. All I could do was stare at her, the heat of the bath amplifying the heat building inside me. And if I fail, if your resonance is not compatible, or if your will is not true, she said, her gaze turning serious, the spire will reject you. It will sever the connection with extreme prejudice. Sever the connection with extreme prejudice. Another great euphemism. Probably meant vaporized, or worse. Extreme prejudice, I repeated. Got it. So, high stakes. The highest, she agreed. Her hand moved from my cheek, tracing the curve of my jaw. Her touch feather-light, yet sending shivers down my spine. But if you are true, if you resonate with the spire's frequency, the bond will be absolute and unbreakable. She leaned closer, her lips parting slightly, revealing those small, sharp teeth. Her humming nodes pulsed faster, louder, filling the space with a deep, building vibration that resonated with the thrumming of the ground outside, with the pulsing of the walls, and now, with the frantic beat, she whispered, her voice a low harmonic. Prepared? Mentally? Absolutely not. Physically? My body seemed to be screaming, yes. The confusion, the danger, the sheer absurdity of the situation, it was all blending into a potent cocktail of raw arousal. As I'll ever be, I guess, I managed. Just, try not to use any extreme prejudice if I wiggle wrong. She smiled then, a genuine breathtaking smile that transformed her face from a mask of power into something unexpectedly vulnerable and beautiful. I will guide you, Riley human, she promised, her voice huskier now. We will resonate together. I have researched your methods through this Google repository. My brain did a quick panicked flip through the most likely search results for how humans mate. Oh God, what had she seen? Had she seen the truly weird stuff? Right. You, did your homework. She nodded, her smile fading as intensity returned to her eyes. She reached into the pool, her obsidian fingers gliding through the glowing liquid towards me. As she drew closer, I felt the energy of the pool surge, the light within it brightening dramatically. The humming from her throat nodes became a deep, continuous tone, vibrating through my entire body. The ritual requires mutual alignment, she murmured, her fingers finding my hand beneath the surface of the liquid. Her skin felt warm, smooth. As her hand closed around mine, a jolt of energy, hotter and more intense than anything I'd felt before, shot up my arm. My vision blurred for a second. Her eyes widened, surprised. Your energy, it is chaotic, she hummed, but strong, untamed. Yeah, that's me, I wheezed, my breath catching in my throat. Her grip tightened on my hand, pulling me gently towards her. She leaned further into the pool, the glowing liquid swirling around us. Her other hand reached out, settling on my shoulder, then sliding down my chest, fingers tracing the line of my ribs, right over the cracked one. A wave of heat, not pain, washed over the injury, and surprisingly, the sharp ache subsided, replaced by a dull throb that synced with her humming. The liquid. It responds to my touch, she explained, her voice strained, and to our connection. It facilitates the binding. Her gaze dropped to my mouth, lingering there for a moment before rising back to meet my eyes. The first stage of alignment, she whispered, is the melding of breath and will. She leaned forward slowly, her face coming closer still. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic primal rhythm. The air felt thick, charged. Her musky scent, the ozone, the sweet undertones. It was overwhelming. Her lips touched mine, soft and warm, completely unlike what I expected. It wasn't a tentative kiss. It was a statement, a claim, an initiation. Her mouth was alien, yet somehow perfectly suited to mine. She deepened the kiss, a slow, deliberate exploration. Her tongue, smooth and surprisingly dexterous, traced the seam of my lips, then tentatively explored further. I responded instinctively, my hands finding her waist, pulling her closer despite the resistance of the water. The kiss escalated quickly, losing its tentative nature and becoming something fierce and hungry. Her humming intensified, a physical force that vibrated through my body, syncing with my own arousal. The glowing liquid in the pool pulsed violently around us, mirroring the surge of energy between us. Her hands explored my body under the water, firm and knowing, igniting fire wherever they touched. She broke the kiss, gasping softly, her multifaceted eyes dark with desire. Your energy, it answers mine, she hummed, her voice low and ragged. It resonates. Yeah, I breathed, my own voice rough. It does. She pulled back slightly, kneeling fully in the liquid. Her tattoos were blazing now, casting shifting patterns of light across my face, across her own body. The spire requires total alignment, she said, her voice steady despite the obvious passion in her eyes. A joining of bodies, a merging of the deepest energies. She reached behind her, her hand finding the clasp of her segmented armor. With a soft click, it loosened, the living material retracting from her form, revealing more of her obsidian skin, more intricate, glowing tattoos that covered her torso and limbs. The sight of her, unclothed and radiating raw power and vulnerability, stole my breath. Her body was magnificent, powerful and perfectly alien. You must be fully open, she commanded, her voice regaining its authority but edged with a tremor of anticipation. Your vessel exposed to the spire's touch, and to mine. I didn't hesitate. My flight suit was already off. The water, the glowing light, her intense gaze, it all felt like a ritual space. A space where everything was stripped away but the raw truth of two beings connecting. I reached out, my hands finding her waist again, drawing her closer. Her skin was smooth and warm beneath my touch, the glowing tattoos creating intricate patterns under my fingertips. Her humming intensified, a deep, welcoming resonance that pulled me in. Show me, Zyrel, I said, using her name for the first time, my voice thick with desire. Show me how to resonate. She leaned into my touch, her body pressing against mine in the buoyant liquid. Release your anxieties, Riley human, she whispered, her multifaceted eyes burning into mine. Submit to the energy. Let it flow through you, through us. And then, with a power that was both alien and intensely feminine, she initiated the final stage of the trial of binding. The sex wasn't gentle. It was a primal clash of energies, a fierce joining driven by instinct, by the raw, urgent need to connect, to resonate. The glowing liquid thrashed around us, responding to the intensity of our movements, the light within it pulsing and flashing like a miniature star going supernova. Her humming was a constant counterpoint to my own ragged breaths and gasps, a deep, resonant song that built in intensity as our bodies moved together. Her hands, strong and knowing, guided me, pushed me, pulled me deeper into the experience. Her multifaceted eyes remained locked on mine, reflecting the chaotic, beautiful light of the pool. It felt less like making love and more like becoming part of something vast and ancient, part of the planet itself, channeled through her. Every thrust, every movement, Every shared breath felt like a beat in a cosmic rhythm, a pulse that resonated not just between us, but with the very core of the world outside. She cried out, a sharp, keening sound that was echoed by the pulsing spire energy vibrating through the chamber. Her body tensed around mine, her humming reaching a frantic, high-pitched climax. At the same moment, a searing heat erupted inside me, spreading outwards, burning through my veins, synchronizing with her own peak. It wasn't just physical release, it was a profound, overwhelming surge of energy, a merging of two distinct frequencies into one powerful vibration. As the last waves of intensity subsided, she collapsed against me, her forehead resting against mine, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The light in the pool dimmed slightly, returning to a soft golden glow. Her humming settled into a low, contented purr. My own body trembled with the aftermath of the energy surge. I had resonated. We stayed tangled in the cooling liquid for a long moment. The only sounds our ragged breaths and the low, steady hum of the cleansing chamber. The raw intensity of what had just happened settled over me, leaving me breathless and disoriented. This wasn't just sex, it was something else. Something tied to this place, to her, to that glowing obelisk outside. Zarel stirred, pushing herself up slightly. She looked down at our joined bodies in the water, her multifaceted eyes filled with a strange mix of awe and confusion. The resonance, she whispered, her voice soft, almost shaky. It was powerful, more than the legends spoke of. Yeah, I managed, my voice still rough. Powerful is one word for it. She looked back at me, her gaze searching mine. Her hand reached up, touching the glowing patterns on my skin where her touch had been. The light there pulsed with a faint, internal glow, mirroring the patterns on her own body. It wasn't just a temporary mark. It felt deeper, like it was under my skin. The spire, it responded, she said, her voice regaining a little of its command. Your energy was accepted, aligned. Accepted, bound, the words echoed in my head. What the hell had I just signed up for? So, I passed the trial? She nodded, a slow, deliberate movement. You resonated. Successfully. You are claimed. Claimed. There was that word again. It settled over me like a heavy cloak. Claimed. By the lands and by you. Yes, she confirmed, meeting my gaze steadily. By me, you are bound, Riley human, to this place, to my lineage, to me. There it was, the fallout. I'd gone from shipwrecked scavenger to property, mate, sacrifice with benefits, bound. Permanently? She nodded again. The bond forged by the spire is absolute. It cannot be broken without catastrophic consequence. Catastrophic consequence. Figures. My luck holding strong. Right. Catastrophic. So like, I can't just leave? Go back to my ship? The ship is destroyed, she stated, as if that settled it. And your energy is now anchored here, to mine. Anchored, bound, claimed. It felt like a gilded cage suddenly snapping shut. My initial wave of postcoital calm was rapidly replaced by a surge of panic. Anchored? Like I'm a permanent fixture? You guys kidnapping me? She frowned, a flicker of confusion crossing her face. Kidnapping? No, you are claimed. This is union. Union. My brain flashed back to the how humans mate search results. Union looked a lot different in the diagram she'd seen. Union, with consequences for catastrophic ununioning, and involves me being claimed. She tilted her head, studying my reaction. Her humming nodes vibrated softly, a questioning tone. You are displeased? This is the highest honor, to be chosen by the spire. To be bound to the first daughter, an honor. To her, to me, it felt like losing my freedom, my identity, an honor. Yeah, for you, maybe. For me? I just wanted to fix my ship and get the hell out of here. My life's complicated enough without being magically tied to an alien princess and her glowing rock. My voice was sharper than I intended. Her expression shifted, becoming closed, guarded. You regret the resonance? She asked, her voice cool now. You regret being bound to me? The shift in her tone, the sudden distance, hurt more than I expected. I looked at her, truly looked at her, seeing past the power and the alienness to the being who had just shared a moment of incredible intensity with me, who had confessed to looking up how humans mate with shy curiosity. No, I said, the word surprising even myself. No, I don't regret this. Not the resonance part. Not the, union. It was unlike anything I've ever experienced. I hesitated. But I don't want to be claimed, not like property. Not like a pet. Her gaze softened slightly. Then how, Riley Human? How would you be bound? As a partner, I said, the word feeling right, despite its foreignness in this context. As an equal. If I'm stuck here, if I'm tied to you in this place, then it has to be together, side by side, not you owning me. The idea was audacious, possibly suicidal given her culture and the elders. But I meant it. I wouldn't trade my freedom for anything. Not even safety, not even for this incredible, confusing connection. She stared at me for a long moment, her multifaceted eyes searching my soul. The humming from her throat nodes was low, thoughtful. An equal, she echoed, testing the word. A partner, not property. It went against everything her culture seemed to represent, everything the elders believed. She looked away from me towards the walls of the chamber, towards the vast, powerful structure we were inside. The elders, they will not accept this, she said, her voice troubled. To them, you are either a blight to be purged or a tool to be claimed. There is no concept of equal partnership. Then we changed the concept, I said, pushing myself up in the water, moving closer to her. We make them accept it. You're the first daughter, right? You have power, and you have the Spire's blessing now. With me. She looked back at me, her expression one of conflict. Power versus tradition. Personal connection versus cultural expectation. The trial of binding is a public ritual, she said, her voice low. The elders observed. They know the resonance occurred, but they will demand you be presented. To be formally claimed, as dictated by the ancient laws. Presented? I asked. Like paraded in front of them? Okay, fine. But I'm not going to stand there and be presented as your new pet human. If I'm claimed as your equal, as your partner in this resonance thing. And they need to hear it from you. She was silent for a long time, the humming from her throat nodes a deep, resonant thrum. She was calculating, weighing the consequences, the risks. This wasn't just about us. It was about her position, her future, maybe the future of her entire lineage and their relationship with the Spire. Finally, she looked at me, her gaze steady, unwavering. Very well, Riley Human, she said, using my name again, a sign of respect, of acknowledgement. If you will not be claimed as possession, you will be claimed as challenge, as the force that required me to defy tradition. We will face the elders, together. Challenge. That I could do. Defying authority was practically my hobby. Defying alien patriarchal elders for the sake of my freedom and a confusing, powerful bond with their daughter? That sounded like a hell of an adventure. And maybe, just maybe, it was exactly what this place, and she, needed. She rose from the water, her obsidian skin gleaming, the glowing tattoos pulsing with renewed intensity. I rose with her, the warmth of the pool clinging to my skin. My body felt different, lighter, stronger, humming with a strange energy that mirrored her own. The crack in my rib was gone, completely healed by the resonating energy. She looked at my side, where the glowing mark pulsed faintly. The Spire heals, she murmured, when the resonance is true. It wasn't just a bonding ritual, it was a transformation. So, I said, a grin spreading across my face, a return of my old smart-ass confidence. When do we go face the music? She met my grin, a spark of defiance in her multifaceted eyes. Now, Riley Human, the convergence is nearing its peak. It is time to present the claimed and redefine the ritual. We left the cleansing chamber, not like a captive and her captor, but side by side, her segmented armor reformed around her as we walked, the living material shifting and clicking into place. I walked naked, feeling oddly exposed but also strangely empowered by the glowing marks on my skin, by the humming energy inside me. My old clothes were beyond saving anyway. We moved through the pulsating corridors, the ambient light seeming to brighten as we passed. The air thrummed with anticipation. We were heading back to the central chamber, back to the Council of Vibrance, back to the elders. They would be waiting. Zarel walked with a newfound presence, her posture straighter, her movements more decisive. She radiated confidence, the kind that came not just from inherited power, but from personal conviction. The bond between us forged in the glowing pool was a palpable thing, a subtle vibration in the air, a shared current of energy. We reached the entrance to the main chamber. The elders were gathered around the central platform, their collective humming a low, expectant drone. The Nexus spire itself, a massive glowing crystal formation that rose from the platform and disappeared into the ceiling, pulsed with intense light, its energy field radiating outwards, filling the chamber with power. The air felt thick, charged. Zarel stepped into the chamber first, her head held high, her glowing tattoos blazed, demanding attention. The elders' humming stopped abruptly as they saw her. Then they saw me, walking beside her, naked, marked, humming faintly with their own energy. Silence descended, heavy and absolute. The lead elder, Zarel's father, stepped forward, his massive form radiating displeasure. His tattoos were dark, his humming aggressive. "Zarel, you present the human beast way?" His gaze swept over me, his multifaceted eyes narrowed. "Unclothed? Marked? He is claimed, father," Zarel stated, her voice clear and strong, echoing slightly in the vast chamber. "The spire has accepted him." The resonance was profound. "Profound?" Another elder buzzed, stepping forward. "He is a foreign body, a blight. He should have been purged." "He resonated where our own could not," Zarel countered, standing firm. "He answered the spire's call. He is not a blight. He is a catalyst." She turned to me, placing a hand on my arm, her fingers brushing against the glowing mark. "Riley Human," she said, loud enough for all the elders to hear, "step forward and declare your intent." As the claimed, "Declare my intent. My moment." I stepped forward, standing beside Zarel on the edge of the glowing platform. The energy from the spire washed over me, warm and powerful. I looked out at the gathered elders, at their suspicious, ancient faces. "My intent?" I said, my voice steady, amplified slightly by the spire's field. "My intent is simple. I came here by accident. I was shipwrecked. I didn't ask for any of this. But your spire, and your first daughter, decided I resonated with them." Successfully. I looked at Zarel, meeting her gaze. A faint smile touched her lips. "I was told I would be claimed, presented as property, as a possession." I turned back to the elders, my voice rising. "But I'm not property. I am not a possession."
"I am a man, and if I am to be bound to this place, to this lineage, to your first daughter, then I am bound as an equal."
A wave of angry humming rose from the elders. "Equal to the first daughter? Insolence," one of them rumbled. "He is claimed. He is subservient." Zarel held up a hand, silencing them. Her tattoos flared, projecting an aura of authority that even the elders couldn't ignore. "The ancient laws speak of claiming," she said. "They do not specify the nature of that claim." The spire accepted his unique resonance. "His will is strong, his spirit is defiant, yes, but true. He resonated with me." And the spire ratified that bond. She turned back to the elders. "The spire has spoken. Its will is paramount. It requires a catalyst for change. And Riley Human, he is that catalyst." The lead elder stared at me, at Zarel, his face a mask of disbelief and anger. "A catalyst for defiance, for the unraveling of tradition." "Tradition must adapt, father," Zarel said firmly. "As the sands shift, as the magnetic flows change, so too must we. The spire does not lie. It has bound us, not as master and servant, but as aligned frequencies." She looked at me again, her multifaceted eyes filled with a fierce determination. "We are bound, Riley Human, by the spire, by the resonance, by choice." By choice, she was giving me a choice, not whether to be bound, that was done, but how we would face this together. "Choice is a new concept around here, isn't it?" I said, a small smile playing on my lips. "Yeah, I choose. I'm with her. Whatever this is, whatever comes next." The humming from the elders was a chaotic roar now, a storm of disapproval. But Zarel stood beside me, solid and radiating power. The spire pulsed behind us, its light intensifying, seeming to acknowledge our shared defiance. "Then it is settled," Zarel declared, her voice ringing with authority. "The human Riley is not claimed as property. He is claimed as my partner, as a catalyst for a new path. The trial of binding is complete." The elders continued to rumble, but their power seemed to wane under the combined force of Zarel's will, the spire's energy, and the undeniable evidence of our bond. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. We had challenged their ancient ways, their patriarchal control. We had forged a union based on something new, something the spire itself seemed to endorse. It would be a fight, a hard one. Against tradition, against the elders, maybe against the entire culture, but we would face it together. The smart-ass scavenger, and the ritual-bound alien princess who had just started a revolution because she Googled how humans mate.